Join me on this episode of the Get Fed podcast as we discover and explore, do masterminds actually work? I'll see you inside. I'm JB, master presenter, former Fortune 50 sales executive, and your guide for everything sales and productivity.
I'm the doctor, Dr. Andre Caruso, a clinical psychologist and your resident expert in behavior, mindset, and wellness.
We hope you're hungry.
It's time to get fed by JB and the doctor.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Get Fed podcast. I am JB, one half of the famous duo, JB and the Doctor, co-founder, partner, Evolve Performance and Development, and Evolve and Thrive. Happy to be here today. If it's your first time listening or viewing, thank you for joining us. Be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. We'd love to be able to continue to provide you absolutely phenomenal content. And of course, we want you to be able to see it. So go ahead, click those buttons right now, get it done, whether it's on your favorite streaming service or on YouTube. We would love to see you subscribe and join us. Now, I mentioned I am one half of the duo. My partner, the doctor, Dr. Andre Caruso, is not joining us today. So we're going to explore a topic very near and dear to my heart, which is the mastermind. Specifically, I want to ask, do masterminds actually work? And of course, answer that question, give you some of our insight and feedback. By the end of this episode, you should have a really good sense of whether or not a mastermind is an appropriate vehicle for you. And if so, what it's going to help you accomplish. And by the way, if you find this is fantastic content, you like it, again, like, subscribe, follow, but also give us a comment, drop us some details. Let us know what you liked about this, not just Doc's pretty mug or the fact that I'm here talking to you today with a freshly unshaved face, but we'd love to know why you find our content so useful. All right, so let's kick it off. Let's jump right into it. Do masterminds actually work? I think the first thing you need to define is what the heck is a mastermind, because I don't think a lot of us know. And mastermind's broad. It's been around for years, right? Napoleon Hill coined this term arguably back in Think and Grow Rich in, I think, 1937 or so, whenever he published that book, which, by the way, one of the top-selling, best-selling books of all time. However, the idea of an advisory board, which a mastermind ultimately is, has been around since before the United States. It can trace its time back to the Bank of England and even earlier into the 1600s, where businesses and entities had advisory boards. So is the advisory board the same thing as a mastermind? Arguably they are, except an advisory board might have some different functions that a mastermind has. So let's define it. Let's just work with a definition we can all agree on. A mastermind is a group of people that are there to support each other and provide some accountability, hopefully positive accountability for one another that meets consistently. So a group of people providing support, advisory services, accountability, and meeting consistently. That's it. That's all a mastermind is. So do they work? Well, if you look at the history and you say, hey, something that started in the 1600s became popular here in the United States in the 30s, and yet every major corporate entity has an advisory board, and truly almost every large organization does as well. Now, those advisory boards, again, their purpose might be greater than that of a mastermind. If the mastermind is what we just described, an advisory board might also include some sort of governance, some sort of protection for its members or constituents, or its vision, what it's there and designed for, the purpose and the mission of the organization. So an advisory board could be more, and I think is more, than a mastermind, especially in the corporate sense or when you get to the large institution sense. But today we're going to zero in on the equivalent of an advisory board for a mastermind. If we talk about that, we're not going to talk about corporate governance. We're just going to focus in on an advisory board, which might have a little bit more intention behind it than just the pure broad definition of a mastermind. So let's say we're in agreement that a mastermind is supposed to support, provide advice, and accountability. What's it actually do? Well, I would argue the question to ask really isn't what does it do, but how does it serve the people that join them? And it's not just accountability, and it's not just better advice, although I would argue that being held accountable to your goals and being given better advice for enhanced decision-making in of itself, if they accomplish it, is all we really need, because that right there means we're going to accelerate everything that we do. We're going to compress the amount of trial and error that we have to deal with because we have better decision-making and we get to support advice from people, and we be kept on track with positive accountability. I mean, sign most of us up right now. That is going to solve a tremendous amount of problems for most people. But I think it's important to recognize that business owners today don't just deal with decision-making fatigue and issues with decision-making. They don't just struggle with trial and error. Business owners also struggle with isolation. And yes, a mastermind will build community. It will reduce isolation. They deal with overwork. And the stats here are not maybe as wild as you might think, but they're still pretty obvious. 1 out of 4 business owners today will tell you they work more than 60 hours a week. Could be 80, could be 90. It's more than 60. 1 out of 3 will tell you more than 50 hours a week. And I don't really believe that most of them are being honest with the amount that they call work, because oftentimes it's very easy for us to fail to think about what we're doing when it comes to work. So we also have to deal with overwork. In addition to that, a business owner's got to find ways to stay out of the business and focus on the business, not in the business, which is really difficult to do because as we grow, it's very natural for us to get bogged down in the business. And the statistics there are pretty obvious because when we see how many businesses actually scale, it's low. There's less than a couple percent that ever achieve more than $1 million in sales. So again, do masterminds work? Well, there was an absolutely tremendous study done by the Business Development Bank of Canada that highlighted advisory boards for small and medium-sized businesses. And the results are nothing less than stellar. You see things like enhanced productivity. You see things like enhanced revenue, sales, and growth. More importantly, to anybody who's technical, what you see is a reduced risk profile. You see businesses that have less years where they're flat or negative in growth and have more years where they have exceptional growth and revenue. And if you combine that, what you have is a situation where a business is statistically, no matter what business you're in, if you join one of these, it is statistically going to do better long term by a wide margin. There's no question about this. It's with a very relevant sample size. It's a fantastic study. It works. And in our own findings, with over 12 years of running advisory boards, we have found that many businesses can more than triple or quadruple or quintuple in their sales, revenue, and growth, and do it in a short period of time. And most importantly, we can do it and provide owners with a vehicle to work less, enhance that decision-making, and eliminate isolation and overwork. I don't think most business owners ever join or start a business unless their goal is to enjoy some freedom and agency and control, as well as put themselves in a position where they're going to have real freedom. And yet we very rarely see that. However, the odds are significantly higher if you join an owner advisory board that helps keep you on the business and on the strategy so you can build with the end in mind. And if you do that, you see tremendous results and not just a high income job, but a true asset that appreciates that you can sell, which is a pretty incredible thing. So do masterminds work? Well, it depends. But if they're structured like an owner advisory board with intention and with purpose, with the right people, and they're carefully cultivated, they absolutely can and they will, and the results are stunning. If you'd like to take a look at our white paper, you can grab it on our website where we detail all of this and why owner advisory boards are so effective. I'm JB, hoping you found this to be an informative and hopefully actionable podcast that you can do something with to better your business. Until the next time, folks, JB out.